Hey viewers, George here to do a first impression of talking a bit on this game, codename S.T.E.A.M for the Nintendo 3DS. Codename S.T.E.A.M, wow, this game just kind of literally came out of nowhere almost. Like, I vaguely remember them announcing this game earlier, like sometime last year, and, and then it comes out. And I wasn't really paying attention to this game when they first announced it because I was like, whatever, who cares? But I was watching a Nintendo Direct. Trying to remember which Nintendo Direct it was is beyond me. But I was watching a Nintendo Direct and they were talking about the, codename S.T.E.A.M because I believe it was coming out like recently. It might have been like the first one from this year. Well, regardless. I was watching it, and I saw the gameplay and, everything about it, and I'm like, this looks really interesting. I'm going to have to try this now. So, after just seeing, maybe 5 minutes, if that, of gameplay, or, the trailer or whatever it was, it sold me on it. So, after seeing that, I was really excited. I didn't try the demo, because I wanted to kind of, enjoy the whole thing at once with the full game when it came out. So I tried it. Actually, I just want to note I went to 4 different places to find this game, and only one of them, the last one I went to, actually had it. So that probably should say something that this game definitely is flying off the shelves, or at least here in Burlington, it definitely is flying off the shelves. So I go to try this game, and what do I say? This game is a lot of fun. It's really enjoyable. It does a lot of things right, and it does a lot of things I've really been kind of wanting to see in strategy games recently. Not to say that a lot of strategy games that come out don't do some of these things, but I find that codename S.T.E.A.M does them in such a perfect way. So, first off, I want to talk about the style of the game. If you haven't seen any gameplay footage or a trailer for this game, or you haven't tried the demo or whatever, the game has a very comic style. It looks like a comic that's right from I want to say maybe the 60s, 50s era is comic, but that goes beyond me because I'm not that into comics. I don't know when to place the style, but you kind of get the point when I say it looks like a comic book. The sky has those that dotted pattern that comic books used to have. The color palettes are bright, colorful, and very limited shading, and it's simplistic straight colors. The actual game is all cell shaded, I believe. Yeah, I definitely say it's cell shaded. Cell shaded. But as for cutscenes in that, it's not like how Max Payne did the cutscenes with the comic book style to it. It's more so like how a motion graphic novel kind of thing does the comic, where it's there's a bit of motions to each one for each panels, transitions and stuff like that. So it looks really cool, and of course, it makes it a little more cinematic than that. It starts off, someone puts down a comic book and they open it up, and the camera just kind of zooms in, and the whole comic book comes alive while still maintaining the framing and the pagings and the word balloons and all that cool stuff. So it looks really nice, and it really blends well with the story, because this story is just really absolutely absurd and silly, but works fantastically well since it's presented as a comic book, and also considering it's taking place in the steampunk universe. So anything goes, really, as long as it's Steam's attached to it. It works. As long as there's 20 useless gears plastered onto something, it works. And everyone has to wear goggles, which that's another thing. Although this takes place in a very steampunk universe, the clothing that everyone wears doesn't really scream steampunk. as much as like the mechanics and like the ingenuity that surrounds the environment and like the weaponry and all that is more steampunked than, you know, the characters' outfits and clothing, which it's weird to see because a lot of times, you know, when you say, hey, it's a steampunk game, you expect everyone to be wearing top hats with, you know, the goggles on them, or, you know, everyone's wearing, you know, vests and, you know, the dress shirt underneath it. You know, they have, like, glasses that they don't really need, but, you know, they look cool because they're all blue. Because the lenses are blue. But the clothing isn't like that. The clothing is very time period-esque, you know, has that very... since the game, as far as I know, takes place in... At least the first part of the game takes place in, you know, the UK. It has that style of clothing. Not Victorian era, but, like, you know what I mean. It's Victorian, but not Victorian, if that makes any damn sense. So, the story of the game, basically, there is the, you know, the unveiling of, the bridge in London. I can't remember exactly which one. That goes to show how well I know this. And, you know, everything's going fine, and then aliens fucking attack. So, you play as Henry. I don't remember if they gave him a last name. But you play as Henry. He's the main character, and you first team up with John Henry, whose name's definitely familiar to me, but beyond that, I don't know who the fuck he is. So, I really passed history. So, you team up with John Henry, and you make your way through a couple of these levels. As far as I know, the way the game is laid out, the missions is always to get to the goal, which is the other end of the map. And between you and the goal is, you know, monsters, these aliens that you have to try and either defeat or try and sneak around to avoid or what have you. And then you have to get to the goal. As far as I know, that's the only objectives for all the missions, because that's, like, the objective for, like, the first, I don't know, like, chapter and a bit. And it works. You know, for a mission status, that's kind of just like, you know, get to the finish line sort of thing. They take it in such a great way, or they utilize it in such a great way, because this game is just, you know, bathing and battered in strategic ingenuity of some sorts. Because you can't just kind of go in there guns a-blazing or whatever, especially considering it's a turn-based strategy game. So obviously you can't, you know, guns a-blazing. Well, you can, but, you know, to a limit. But honestly, a lot of the times that does not work. A lot of times the best strategy is just to try and avoid as much mayhem as you can. Because this game definitely isn't easy. You know, it definitely... you're gonna die quite a few times, if that. Or at the very least, I should say. You're gonna die quite a few times, because, like, the AI in this, you know, definitely throws fucking curveballs. So, that's a good thing. I really like the difficulty of this. I really love the strategy element of it, where it's like, you know, try and find the best way to get to the end, because there is multiple different ways you can get there. And on top of that, you can also, there's also these 3 gears that are hidden in each of the maps that you have to collect. You don't have to, but you can collect to kind of, you know, and also there's coins to collect. So the coins and gears, if you collect those, you kind of unlock more, you know, sub-weapons for your characters to use, or other, you know, things that kind of enhance the gameplay or gives you more stuff to play with, essentially. So that's really cool. It kind of gives you a reason to collect these things, and it's not just to unlock, like, you know, artwork or, you know, a trailer or some shit like that that you've already seen or you really don't give a shit about. So that's really cool. I do like that the collectibles actually have some sort of impact on the game, and kind of gives you more reason to want to collect them, because it's like, hey, if I collect, you know, so many gears, Henry can become a field medic as his sub weapon, which, trust me, that is the most useful fucking thing in the world, because everyone will get injured so badly if you just do the most minuscule fuck up. So, you know, small, like, right off the bat, that becomes so freaking useful, and then, like, John Henry gets, like, you know, another weapon that is extremely useful, considering his main weapon is a grenade launcher. And then he gets, like, something that's not a grenade launcher, which means it takes less steam. Another note on the story is, after you've gone through a few levels, Abraham fucking Lincoln, who, assuming from the dialogue, this game probably takes place shortly after he was assassinated, but apparently the assassination was, no, not real, because he wanted to create the organization called S.T.E.A.M, which he's, you know, enlisted you into, which is meant to deal with the threat of aliens. So he had to kind of, you know, retire and go out of the public eye in order to do something that wouldn't panic, you know, the entire damn world. So that is pretty freaking cool. You know, Abraham Lincoln's there. I don't think you get to play as him. I think he's just kind of like the guy that stands behind a desk and is like, well, here's our mission, folks. So that's unfortunate, but apparently he's voiced by Josh Whedon, which that might mean something to some people. Certainly doesn't mean anything to me, but there you go. Okay, so gameplay. A little more on the gameplay element. So, considering this is a turn-based strategy game, obviously each character has a limited number of moves they can make within your turn, which is measured by the amount of steam that you take up. Each character gets, you know, so much steam, and like, say if you're to use the grenade launcher that John Henry has, that takes up 4 steam just to use that, and then like 1 steam for 1 movement within a block. If you were to use like Henry's main character, Henry, God, there's too many people named Henry. They should have probably thought of that. In all honesty, so main character Henry, his main weapon is just like a rifle of some sorts. At least I think that's what they say it is, and that takes up like 3 steam. So, you know, you got like, so you figure out like how much steam to use, and then on top of that, they're like, hey, if you left so much steam, so say if you, with main Henry, if you left like 3 steam by the end of his turn, and an enemy comes into him to try and attack, he can counterattack to, you know, not get hit by the enemy. So it's like, oh cool, so now I gotta kind of think about whether or not I want to, you know, leave so much steam after, you know, I've finished my turn, or if I want to try and take a chance by using what little steam I have, you know, kind of counterbalances everything. So that's really cool. I mean, there's just so much layer of strategy to it, and you know, when you kind of when you make like a small mistake, like, you know, instead of using a steam, you kind of save it, and then that kind of backfires on you. It's just like, damn it, wow, that is a bad mistake I made on my part. I should have probably thought that through. You feel like you're mostly to blame, and you kind of get like a learning from it, of course, and it works really well as a strategy game, as a turn-based strategy game too, because a lot of times the turn-based strategy games aren't, you know, they're good and all, but sometimes they aren't extraordinarily interesting, or at least keep your tension going for the duration of the entire game. I've played multiple strategy games and turn-based strategy games where that ends up being the case, where it's just kind of like, I'm just gonna put it down for a while. But this one definitely works well. It's probably also the way the gameplay is presented as a third-person shooter of sorts. So it's a third-person turn-based strategy shooter, and it's just the difference in where the camera is positioned, because most strategic strategy games take place, you know, as a bird's eye view or something like that. Having it behind the shoulder of the character really puts you into the game that much more, into like the action. So that works really well. If you were playing this with a new 3DS, the control stick is used to control the camera, which is really nice, but if you don't, you just kind of use the face buttons, because those are just designated to camera duty, whereas, you know, L is to shoot and R is to kind of like, you know, switch between distance or sub weapons and what have you. So, you know, the controls work really fine. I've used both the face buttons and the circle, not the circle pad, the control stick for the camera, just to kind of see how, you know, it feels. And, you know, the face buttons feel fine, so you don't. This isn't a game where you have to have the new 3DS to enjoy it. Like unlike Monster Hunter, where you kind of need the new that C stick to kind of, you know, enjoy it that much more. But here, that's not the case, so that's cool. They definitely plan that out. The controls work really great. Music is it's there. When you do hear it, it's rather epic for the game itself. What else we have to talk about here? I'm trying to remember like every single thing, but yeah, this is a really good game. It does have an amiibo feature to it, but good luck trying to use it because the only amiibos that seem to work with it are the Fire Emblem amiibos, and those are the hard ones to find, of course. So, if you have any of those, you can actually place that amiibo onto the new 3DS, and they can come in. That amiibo can come in and assist you, which is definitely a big thing, because you know you'll need every ounce of help you can get within the game. That's for sure. I believe I've said everything I need to. You know, normally I don't care about how the game looks, but this game looks fantastic. It looks really nice. The game plays really well. The story is enjoyably, you know, it's enjoyable and it works really well for the game itself. You know, it has the amiibo feature, which, you know, more games on the 3DS are starting to, you know, include since the new 3DS came out, of course. I believe there's actually a multiplayer too. Let me just check the back here. There is a multiplayer. I haven't actually tried it because I don't actually have any friends that have this game, as far as I know. But I'm pretty sure it's really good. It's probably just like, you know, one person plays as the aliens, the other person plays as, you know, S.T.E.A.M. So that's probably what it is. A really good thing, I love that this is a portable game. That's on the 3DS, because this is definitely a game that works really well. Or rather, the genre itself works really well for on the go. You know, you're on the bus, you got like 10 minutes to spare between, you know, when you get on and off the bus or whatever. So, you know, you do a couple turns of this, it works fantastically. You put it in sleep mode, you pick it back up later. It works great. That's, you know, a huge thing. A lot of the times, when you get games that are on the 3DS, a lot of them do not work as well as a portable system as, you know, they probably thought it would, because just the way the game itself, you know, is, or the game's genre or whatever, doesn't quite work. But for a third-person, turn-based strategic third shooter person, it works fantastic. It works great. This is definitely a game that you are going to have to get on the 3DS. This is definitely going to be people's favorite of the year for sure. It does a lot of things right and very, very little wrong. I don't think I said a bad thing about this game. So I'm struggling to actually think of a bad thing to say about this game. But even something like the difficulty of the game, I can't say something bad about, because it's, you know, it works really well. It's not like where it's too hard or it's extraordinarily easy. It's perfect. You know, there's a challenge there, and it's rewarding when you know, surpass that challenge, and I love that. So, yeah. Codename S.T.E.A.M, great game. It's a must-have, and until next time, keep on gaming.